Welcome back for another deep dive. This time, it's Lama Surya Das's Awakening the Buddha Within. You guys sent this one in, and whether or not you are already into Buddhism, I think we're all going to find some interesting stuff in this one.
Oh, yeah. Definitely a lot to unpack here.
Mm.
Lama Surya Das is a Western Buddhist teacher,
Mm.
and the way he mixes personal stories with, like Buddhist concepts, it really makes it approachable.
It does. And speaking of approachable, the book starts with this really funny anecdote about a woman who's searching for her son, Sheldon, in the Himalayas.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one. It's like he uses humor, but, it also kind of points to something we all kind of search for, a connection, meaning, that kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure. And, his own life story is kind of like that too, isn't it? I mean, he didn't exactly, grow up in a monastery.
Right. Like imagine going from pre-law on Long Island. Yeah, totally. And then he's like deeply affected by what happened at Kent State. Like that was a turning point.
Yeah.
It sent him on this whole spiritual quest through Europe, Asia, all over.
Yeah, I can see that. That makes sense. It's like searching for answers. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then he ends up studying with this Tibetan Buddhist teacher, Lama Yeshe, in Nepal. And what's interesting to me is like those early questions,
Yeah.
about like life's purpose. It's something we all think about.
Totally. Like, what's it all about? Why are we here? That kind of thing.
Exactly. And, Lama Yeshe tells him, open your heart and awaken your mind and you will be there. I mean, that's powerful, right? Like,
Yeah.
We all have that potential.
It's powerful. It's like the answers are already inside us or something.
Right.
Okay, so speaking of inner potential, let's talk about karma. He gets into karma a lot, and it's way more complex than like the what goes around comes around thing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Way more to it. Like, it is cause and effect, but it's not, like you get punished or rewarded. It's more about like understanding that our actions, I mean, like everything we do, even what we think, it shapes what happens to us.
Okay, so does that make us more careful about, what we do?
I don't know. I think it makes you think about like consequences, not just for you, but like for everyone.
Right, yeah. Okay, so then there's this whole thing about enlightenment and nirvana. Honestly, it's always been kind of like a mystery to me.
It could be hard to wrap your head around, yeah. But it's not about like becoming superhuman or anything. It's about potential, like realizing your full potential as a human being.
So like we all have this like best version of ourselves inside.
Something like that, yeah. It's like shedding all the stuff, the delusions that like block us from, who we really are.
Okay, so and nirvana is?
Like liberation from suffering, a state of peace.
Okay. I can get behind that.
Yeah, it's not some faraway place. It's something you can experience, like right here, right now.
Huh?
I like that.
There's this great story he tells about this 8-year-old kid, Ryan, who during a gong meditation, he has this realization, and he says he feels like God.
Whoa. An 8-year-old.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Like, if a kid can experience that, it makes you think, right?
It does. Like, what are we all capable of?
Yeah, exactly. And, it ties into this idea of the sleeping Buddha within each of us, like waiting to be, woken up.
So how do we wake it up?
Well, he talks a lot about self-discovery, looking inward, and being mindful.
So it's not about like becoming someone else.
Right. More like uncovering what's already there.
Okay, so let's talk about this refuge ceremony thing. He mentions that in Tibetan Buddhism.
Right. So the refuge ceremony is like a commitment, like you're committing to this path, and it's all about the 3 jewels.
The 3 jewels, what are those exactly?
Okay, so the Buddha, he's like the embodiment of awareness and truth,
Mm-hmm.
like a teacher. And then there's the Dharma, which is, the teachings, the way to get there. And then the Sangha, that's the community, the people who are like on the path with you.
So it's like having this whole support system, right? Like
Yeah.
to help you along the way.
Exactly. And they have this refuge prayer, which is like simple, but really powerful.
That makes sense. I mean, we all need support, right?
Yeah, for sure. Especially these days, with everything going on. And that's something he talks about a lot, like bringing mindfulness to everyday life.
So not just like meditating in a cave somewhere.
No, like bringing that awareness to, everything, like walking, eating, just like moving through your day.
So it's not about escaping life. It's about like really being present in life.
Exactly. It's about like, making those little moments count.
Right. Okay. So he talks about this eightfold path a lot. It sounds kind of overwhelming, honestly, like 8 steps.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot, but it's not like a checklist or anything. It's more like different aspects of the same thing.
Okay, so it's not like step one, step two.
No, not really. More like they all kind of work together, you know?
Okay, I think I get that. So like what are these different parts? Anyway.
Well, he divides it into like three sections. There's wisdom, and
Really?
then ethical conduct, and then mental discipline.
Okay, that makes sense. So wisdom, what's that about?
So the first two parts are about wisdom,
Right.
understanding, and right thought.
Right. Understanding. So like understanding what exactly?
It's about seeing things clearly, like, how everything changes, how we're all connected, that kind of thing.
So like understanding that life is, impermanent and that we're all kind of in this together.
Yeah, exactly. And then right thought, that comes from like having right
Yeah.
understanding. It's about, thinking in a way that's helpful, not getting stuck in like negative thoughts.
So basically like thinking good thoughts.
Not just good thoughts, but thoughts that are like true,
Hmm.
that line up with, reality.
Okay. That makes sense. And what about ethical conduct?
Okay. So that's about how we act, what we do.
So like putting our money where our mouth is, basically.
Yeah, kind of. It's got three parts too. Right speech, right action, and right livelihood.
Right speech. So like being honest.
More than just honesty, like speaking in a way that's kind and not like causing harm with your words.
That's a good one. I think we could all use a little more of that.
For sure. And then there's, right action. So doing things that are, ethical, not hurting others, that kind of thing.
So basically like be a good person.
Well, yeah, but it's more than that. It's about like your actions matching your understanding of things. Like
Yeah.
if you understand that harming others is wrong, then you don't do things that harm others.
Okay, yeah. And the last one, right livelihood. That's about work.
Yeah. It's about choosing a job that's, ethical,
All right.
that doesn't contribute to suffering.
Huh. That's interesting. So like even our jobs are part of this whole spiritual thing.
Yeah, totally. It's all connected. And then the last section is mental discipline. That's where we get into like training the mind.
This sounds hard.
It can be challenging, yeah. But also like really rewarding. So there's three parts to this one too. Right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration.
Right effort. So like trying hard.
Kind of. It's
Yeah.
about having the energy and like sticking with it, even when it's, tough.
So like not giving up.
Yeah. And not beating yourself up, just like keeping going.
Okay. And what about right mindfulness? We talked about that earlier,
Yeah.
right?
It's about, paying attention to what's happening right now, like your thoughts, your feelings, just noticing them without, judging them.
Just being present.
Yeah, exactly. And then right concentration, that's about focusing your mind, like on your breath or a mantra, something like that.
Oh, okay. So like meditation.
Right. And when you can focus your mind, it can lead to like really deep insights and a sense of peace.
Wow. Okay, so this Eightfold Path, it's pretty deep. It covers like everything.
It does, right? It's like a guide for like living a good life, a meaningful life.
Right. And it's interesting because I mean, Lama Surya Das didn't just like grow up with all this, he had his own journey.
Right. Like remember, he's from Long Island, pretty far from, Tibetan monasteries.
Yeah, totally. So what got him into all this anyway?
Well, there was a lot of things, I think. The Vietnam War and then what happened at Kent State, it really like shook him up, made him question
Yeah,
things.
I can see that. It's like searching for something more, right?
Yeah. Like what's the point of it all? So he starts traveling, looking for answers, trying different things, and eventually he finds Buddhism.
And then he spends like years studying with these Tibetan lamas.
Yeah, like really immersing himself in it. And that's when he, goes through this big transformation. Gets the name Surya Das, which means servant of the sun.
Whoa. That's pretty cool. So it's like it doesn't matter where you start, right? Like anyone can find their way to this.
Exactly. Like you don't have to be born into it or like have any special background. The potential is there for everyone.
That's a really cool message.
It is. And it's like he's proof of that. He went from Long Island to like being this, renowned Buddhist teacher.
He's kind of a bridge, right, between like the East and West.
Yeah, he really is. And the way he, blends it all together makes it relatable.
Right. It's not about like escaping the world or becoming someone else. It's about like bringing that awareness into your life right here, right now.
Exactly. It's about finding that balance, between inner peace and engaging with the world. And that's the whole point, really. Like that potential is there right now.
Yeah, I love that. And it's pretty amazing how he like weaves his own story into these ancient teachings, you know? It makes it feel so much more real.
Right. Like he's been there,
Yeah.
he gets it. And he's not saying you have to like become this totally different person. He's saying like the potential is already there inside you.
Right. Yeah, like we were talking about the sleeping Buddha before. Is that what he means by like awakening the Buddha within?
Yeah, I think so. It's about like uncovering those qualities that are already there,
Hmm.
like the wisdom, the compassion, all that stuff. It's just sometimes it gets covered up,
Hmm.
by our habits, our beliefs, all that.
So it's not about like adding something new. It's more about like taking away the stuff that's blocking it.
Yeah, exactly. And he talks about like mindfulness and meditation, the
Yeah.
Eightfold Path, all these things that help us, chip away at that stuff. Like clear away the clutter so we can see what's really there.
Okay, that makes sense. But with the Eightfold Path, I mean, it's a lot, right? Like 8 steps. Do you think it's realistic for people to like follow all of that, especially, in today's world?
Well, it's not really about like following rules,
Yeah.
it's more like guidelines, like a way to like live more mindfully.
So it's more about like the direction you're going, not about being perfect.
Exactly. It's about progress, not perfection.
And he says even small things can make a difference, like starting a meditation practice, even just for a few minutes a day.
Yeah, like building it into your life little by little.
Exactly. You don't have to like overhaul everything at once. It's about finding what works for you.
Okay, that's good to know. So he talks a lot about compassion. Where does that fit in with all this, awakening stuff?
Well, compassion is a big part of it. Like as you become more mindful, you start to see how connected we all are. And then you naturally start to feel more compassion.
So it's not just about like focusing on yourself. No, not at all. Actually, he says that like true awakening is realizing that there's no separation. Like we're all part of this, this big web of life.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's kind of mind-blowing.
Right. And so like if we're all connected, then our actions, they affect everyone. It's like a ripple effect.
So our own like personal growth can actually like help
Yeah.
the world.
Exactly. Like more compassion we cultivate, the more wisdom we cultivate, it radiates outwards.
Wow. Okay, so it's like it's all connected. Like our own inner work can actually make a difference in the world.
Yeah, that's what he's saying.
Yeah.
And he thinks that's how we create a better world, like by each of us waking up.
That's pretty hopeful actually. Like we each have that power.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be like this big dramatic thing.
No.
It's about those little moments, those little choices we make every day.
Yeah, I like that. It feels more doable.
Right. Like anyone can do it.
So I guess to wrap things up here, what Lama Surya Das is saying in Awakening the Buddha Within is that, we don't have to become someone else to find enlightenment. It's about uncovering what's already there inside us.
Yeah, it's about self-discovery. It's about mindfulness. It's about, freeing ourselves from suffering. And like we've been saying, it's a journey that's available to anyone.
Yeah, that's a great point to end on. So think about that. What's one little thing you can do today to bring a little more awareness into your life? Just a little something to think about as we finish this deep dive. And as Lama Surya Das says, may all beings benefit.